Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Romancing the stone is what I think about when I think about my next guest, Dr. Michael Kell. How are you?
I would more likely say romancing stoned.
Yes.
But it works better when you're not.
Always a pleasure having you. Before the show, we always talk, and then I'm like, we got to start the show. But it's whatever. What are we talking about? So we're here. Welcome. What do you want to talk about?
I can't think of anything really serious to talk about today because it's so busy. But this is interesting, I think, because I haven't really talked about it. But I've romanced women when I was a little kid, 3 years old. It's just a natural thing. And it's not a bad thing. I don't try to take advantage of them. I don't necessarily go to bed with them. I want them to feel loved and cared for, and they're not invisible. And, and a lot of times they love you back, which is really nice because it's like food for me. Because getting love back from a woman, it's food for me because it helps me write poetry. Mm-hmm. It helps me write my stories, my books, which I like even better, which they're not really out yet, but they are really, really tender. Even I cry when I read my own books, not because they're sad, because I can't believe anybody could be that tender. Mm-hmm. If it's made up. So over the years, I found places where I like to romance. Okay, because the truth of the matter is, I'm looking for one particular lady. Mm-hmm. That wasn't born probably when I started looking, but it's a woman I've been married to many, many times in the past.
Oh my goodness!
And so she and I are bound, but the physical world doesn't quite work perfectly. So sometimes you get meet, sometimes you don't. So I'd say about maybe 20 years ago, not quite that much, I became extremely serious about this. After a lot of other girlfriends and lovers and wives and stuff. And so I had to think for a moment and feel where she's going to be born, or if she was born or not. I mean, she can't just be born then, it would be too late. But she is in Ukrainian. I'm half Ukrainian. And so I knew she was in Ukraine. I just didn't know where in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And so there's this really good agency that's been around a long time called UA Dreams. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's legitimate. The women there are legitimate, not trying to hassle everybody usually. And, so I've been talking to people, helping them, romancing them, visiting them, different people for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I'm the most eligible bachelor on that site.
Taking pictures of us, don't worry. Of course.
So listen to this though. So maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, because people email me all the time off the site. And so I got this email from a 20-year-old Ukrainian that happens to be in Calgary now, Canada. Okay, studying. So our parents are in Germany trying to get out of Ukraine, get to Canada, while the Ukrainians live. And so she sends me this really sweet letter. And so I usually respond back. I mean, just because I'm a gentleman. So I responded back, and I asked, like, who are you? Sort of metaphorical question. And she wrote back and she goes, I don't know who I am. I'm like 20 years old. I don't know who I am yet. But I know who I'm for and what I am to do. She says, God created me for you. It's just says me, okay? And, and I want to be a mom and have some babies, stuff. She's traditional. So that was really weird, okay? Because I've never heard anybody say that to me. And I don't think anybody would ever say that. So I've talked to her a little bit, and she's really sweet, a virgin even. It's so innocent that I have a feeling for her because she's innocent. Make sure her life works out pretty good. I don't want any first bad loves, if there's anything. Okay. So I talked to her, and she's in university and stuff, and that's okay. But then, not too later, maybe a little before, I get another email from a lady in a city in Ukraine that I know a lot of people in there. And she and I have this immediate bond. I mean, immediate, and so things are go really, really fast, really, really fast. It's kind of inconvenient to visit there with the war going on. And so I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I was telling him what was going on. And I said, it's just like how things work out for angels.
Aww.
Not do you just get one, but to make it fun, they give you two past wives. So you have to choose
Oh,
one,
wow.
you know, and I don't like choosing at all. I mean, that when it comes to love and stuff, but I figure I'm been around long enough, I can retire. So I'm trying to find somebody to retire to that I can really be with, and care with and have a good time. I'll probably die before she does, but that would be good. So I'm tired of romancing. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because there's heartbreak with it a lot of times, when things happen, either way. So,
Wow.
but it does help me write. So I was editing a book today and reading some parts, which were kind of erotic, but that wasn't the point of them. I'm thinking, oh, this love stuff is really good for me, because I'm even better in my books than I am in real life, which should be that way.
Yeah.
So.
So who are we romancing these days? That's what I want to know. You said we could talk about how many ladies are on the list, what's happening in your romantic world, since it's all about romance.
So
And
7
wants
women
to talk about.
in Ukraine want to marry me. That's like, it's like, I don't mean this to happen, but it just happens. And I think it's because I
Find one guy that wants to marry
I
me.
sincerely pay attention to them, and I
Wow.
sincerely respect and honor them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't realize that as I got older, I think my charm has got better. I don't know if I look very charming, but I am charming when it needs to be, and
Yes.
so it's getting effective.
Wow.
So really, it's probably down to, well, I'm sort of, it's okay. It's 2 single mothers with 2 girls, kind of opposite of you. Okay, you get 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like them because I don't have to have a kid with them, you see, so that's good.
Yeah,
And,
but they have that motherly touch, which you love and
yeah,
need.
yeah,
You
yeah,
need
all that
someone
stuff.
who loves. Yes.
But I think I have to choose either the Ukrainian girl in Calgary, which is sort of convenient for me since I'm in Atlanta, or the other one is still in Ukraine. But I really like the other one in Ukraine. She's a designer,
Mm-hmm.
and she is so right by big as you. Okay, I would imagine.
But
I don't
does
think
she
you're too
want?
big.
Do they want to move here?
Well, I mean, I don't think. Well,
uproot the
the one in Canada
family?
would.
How
I'd go
does
to
it
Canada
work?
for that one. Okay, get
Okay.
out of the United States. But we haven't talked. Doesn't come down to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many logistic problems you have to take care of. Then I have to make sure that they feel what I want them to feel, and be genuine because it's good for them.
Yeah.
Which I think most people sounds insane, but I really want things to be good for the ladies because I don't like how they're abused. I don't like how they're taken advantage of. It pisses the shit out of me. Excuse my language.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
unfortunately, there's groups like I talked about Claire before. They're trying to, have women
Mhm.
stop being invisible. Move up to where they're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not spiritually, but just in the world. So I think things are changing. But if people understood that Satan really is the prince of the world, whether there is a Satan or not, it's irrelevant. But that kind of idea, because I was thinking about talking about abortion a little bit, because women have been aborting fetuses since the dawn of time, probably. Well, human time.
Yes.
And there's a good reason to do that because sometimes 20% of the babies, I think, are probably defective. So nature aborts them, just naturally. And this about women and abortion is evil, evil, evil. I mean, the Christians talk about it, but I was thinking about making a new group called Christ Against Christianity because they don't practice what he teaches. And you talk about abortion, and you go to Genesis, okay? I mean, second chapter. It said, God made it's a Babylonian thing. It's not Jewish at all, but the gods made man out of the dust of the earth, breathed life into him, became a living soul. So if the baby can't breathe and survive, guess what? I didn't say that. Didn't say anything about that kid. Preacher. And I'm not talking about random abortion just because it's birth control, but when a baby is probably viable to survive, is probably what they're talking about, which is like 24 weeks, usually if you don't have all this intensive care. And, so this is thing that, that's what God said, apparently to the Christians. I'm not saying God said it, but that's what God said to the Christians, they say. So why don't they obey it? Why don't they follow the 10 Commandments, which are not meant to be totally literal? When you shoot somebody with a gun, if it's a war, they don't call it murder, but it is murder. Okay, so that means there's justified things you do and unjustified things you do. But what about all the murder they do with that poor lady? And there's a poor girl, okay, that has to have a baby. They murder her life. The kid might not go to a good place. And it's just terrible. They're so hypocrites, like you said, Pharisees. They're hypocrites. Our government is a hypocrite. Most of the people that in the United States are hypocrites. And it shouldn't be that way. Women need to come to power in America, in the world, so the male and female forces are balanced, and the females prevent the males from being too violent, and the males make sure that things move along by fertilizing the system. So, sorry, I get animated with that. I hate oppression.
No, I know. Isn't that horrible in our world that why can't people just let people choose what they want to choose and just and as a woman, you've been oppressed for years.
I think a lot of normal males feel the same way.
Yeah.
Not necessarily bound to any religious doctrine, which they don't even understand. We'd all like to have a peaceful life. Who would not want their wife to feel loved and needed, so you can be mothered a little bit,
Yeah.
And why would a woman not want to be fathered by her husband in a way? Because there's certain energies there that have to be in balance, and what I've discovered over the years is females, not all of them, but females that had a really good relationship with their father, which they taught them to be confident, taught them it's okay to stand up for things, just normal things that, that males usually do biologically. Those women become very powerful in a good way. They're not seeking power. They become like a fulfilled woman, and a man has to be fulfilled too. Gurdjieff used to say, a man isn't a man unless he loves a woman and she loves him, and vice versa. And I believe that's to be true, because we have male and female sides in us. It's different ratios between you and I, but you need to be balanced, because humanity is going to be destroyed if they don't change their attitudes, and there's only so much angels can do, but they will come and kill them. They'll kill you at the end because they're warriors. Does it bother them? They don't even like humans hardly, because they're so violent and mean and nasty. But why do we have to go through that? It's stupid. It doesn't affect me. I'll be somewhere else. Hopefully you'll be somewhere else too.
I know,
But,
right?
You can't ignore how bad our world is. You don't have to have it bother you so much, but you need to do whatever you can do at your little local level, I think.
Well, is that your microphone, by the way? Do you hear a little static? Hello, hello, hello. Check 1, 2.
Wait, is it sound like a fan, sort of?
I heard it twice.
I don't know.
So, okay, no, just
I'll turn it.
No, I forgot what I was saying.
I don't hear anything, but I'm hearing anything, so I should go hear it.
Land Rover, nice shirt. Is that what that says?
Yep. As the real Land Rovers, after BMW bought them from Land Rover.
Love it. Love it.
Now they got rid of all the good ones. We live in a world of unimaginable people. Everything has to be the same because there's nothing in them.
That's true.
They don't care about what happens to them. They don't want to be internal. They don't want to be, help the world. They don't want to listen to whatever their God is. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I told my friends this. I said, Christ, I know. Okay, I like Christ. But what they've done with his teachings is horrendous. And I'm saying, most of you guys think you're going to heaven. But God made extra space in hell because that's where you're all going, because you're hypocrites. Not everyone, okay? Not everyone. Same thing with Jewish people. Same thing with all the rest of them, except Buddhists probably doesn't count because they're being reborn all the time, which is probably not true for everyone. So I vented. So what should we talk about next?
Well, I want to talk about all these women. That piques my interest. Dr. Michael Kell is like one of the most eligible bachelors, and he's got invitations from all these women. But how do you have time to manage them? No, okay. I mean, do they think you're exclusive? How does it work?
No. See,
tell me how
I tell
it
them.
works.
I tell them.
You can't commit.
My
You
stories
can't
and stuff. And I tell them stuff. Okay. Like if I know somebody I'm talking to is probably somebody I was married to in the past, which is not hard to do, but not that common. But I have to, it's like I love them all. And I don't care if they give anything back to me when I talk to women. And I have a conversation because I got money to do it. Not enough, but some. So I spend a lot of time. But it's good for me because if we can learn to love others easier, and it's easier for me to love females than men, of course, it's that it makes me better, and so I think a lot of people think I'm outrageous, but I'm not like Don Juan. I'm not like Casanova because I know how to romance and love, and they never did. And that's the problem, is women need to be loved. So I just love them. Doesn't mean I sleep with them. Doesn't mean I want to sleep with them. But I want them to know they are loved because it makes them for their sake. But I like doing it because it makes me feel like I'm being helpful. It's no egoism in it at all. Like one time I was in Zaporozhye City in Ukraine a long time ago. And so I was seeing somebody and, there's another girl, other Ukrainian lady there. I was just interviewing or something. So I walked by and she said, "Excuse me." I said, "Yes." She said, "You're a lady killer, aren't you?" I go, "I never thought of it. I don't know." But as I get older, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. But you see, there's a caveat here is that, most of us have had bad first relationship, and when I was in university, like probably second year, maybe third year, and I was in love, all I wanted was one woman to love and have a family with. Kids I didn't think about, I was too young, but just one nice family. That's all I ever asked for. So what happens when I'm with my first intimate partner? Catholic girl, Catholic school. Her friends were trying to pick up on me. I was much handsomer then, but still, and I'm going, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Of course, then she betrays me, but that was okay. And so what I'm trying to find is someone, the connection is that all that can be erased from the universe. Can you imagine the very first sincere love affair? Going into marriage, and family, and you still fight and stuff, but it's like, no matter what happens, they can never separate you. And it's equal. And everybody cares about each other. And that's probably the closest we can get to unconditional love, being humans. And it will never be unconditional, but the more unconditional, I should say, less conditioned it is, the better it is. It's closer to what God is. God's feeding love through us. We're supposed to feed it back out. So why are we restricting it? And so I was hoping before I died this life that I would find her, or at least one of them, okay, and take care of them. But a couple asked me, like, what happened if you found, because I told about it, if I found 3 of them? I said, you guys don't understand. It wouldn't matter if I loved them. It wouldn't matter if I was with them because I'm with you. And said, I know the secret of how, polygamy, not polygamy, but how to do that. Every wife has to feel like she is the only one that you love, but they're friends with each other. And that's all they want. That's all they ask for, except to be motherly and take care of people and do all the good things women do. But that one's hard to do in this world.
Reminds me of that show I was watching that many years ago. The man in Utah who has all the wives, sister wives. It's called. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
Yes, that could work. I'm not against it.
Actually, in my stories, there's a lot of incest in there, but incest doesn't apply. Humans think it's incest. Gods consider it genetic modifications, okay, improvements, it's like elves and stuff. And so it's funny when you read the books because we put all that aside, and it's there for a reason to make you nervous. Because when you can get back past your nervousness and you see what's happening between the people, you go, why would it matter?
Yeah.
In one book, God is the hero in the universe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He makes errors. He needs wives. He needs their advice. He has like 9 wives, and they all love each other. I'll make love to each other, things. But every time they make love with him, it's as if no other woman existed in the universe except her.
Mm-hmm.
And so it works out really well. And so,
Wow.
he creates children, genetic modification. He's trying to find a female version of him. It's female, which she's done. She's like 12 years old, and it's where she stays. She wants to be daddy's girl. She doesn't want to grow up. But then he had children with Leto. So he had, that's a mythology, but he had Artemis and Athena, and so they want to marry him. Greek gods have a lot of incestuous relationships. So he ends up like marrying his daughter, some of his daughters, not all, some of them, and then this and this, and its sister. It was created with his sister.
So wait, I'm sorry, but God, is it okay to do that, or are we?
What? No, I'm not talking about what people think God is. This is my stories.
Oh no, but in real life, you connected with the other side. Is it okay for cousins to marry cousins or brothers and sisters? Is that okay? Should it be okay? Just your opinion?
Okay. Here's a caveat, okay? And then what was taught in the past isn't quite true. They've done data and look, because you look at how much DNA gets carried over, probabilities, which is like half every mating. But apparently, first cousins are far enough apart that they could marry each other, okay? But look at Victorian England. Dharma's married to his cousin. They didn't hurt them. And so it's not as close as things. Brothers and sisters is a genetic problem. Okay. If there's anything wrong in the DNA. If there's nothing wrong in the DNA, I mean, you don't know that, but if you could know that.
True.
Why? Who cares? They love each other. Why do I care? Yeah. And the ancient Egyptians did that. Cleopatra's whole line with the Ptolemies, they married brothers and sisters, brother and sister, brother and sister. Sometimes it was figurative, but a lot of times it was actual. And they didn't seem to have a problem with it, but they had a good genetic structure, I think, and it never got worse. Mutations are rare. So, but what I'm just trying to show is that you put aside our fixed beliefs, and that's why sometimes when I read even the erotic stuff with the whole context, it makes me cry. I mean, not cry, but tear. Stuff because it's so loving. Even though even though it should be daddy, daddy, daddy. It's not about incest. It's about that he's God, okay? And he loves everybody. And they all love him. And they're always anyway else were incestuous, so that's okay. They had perfect genetic structure. In my stories, at least. So, but life is difficult, I think. Even with the best intentions.
Yeah.
But I really am looking forward to retiring finally and be happily married.
Yep. Me too.
2 daughters. I didn't say anything about having other ones, right?
Yeah.
But I want 2 daughters to raise.
Aww.
And I was telling this Ira's her name and stuff. I said, here's what I see for you. And she said, it's Father's Day. So I wrote back. I said, it's Father's Day. And you and our 2 beautiful little girl daughters are talking. And you say, no, it's Father's Day today. We have to make a card for Daddy because he loves us so much. He's always protecting us and taking care of us. And so, they give him card stuff. So it's nice. And he goes, I'll talk to them when Mommy has a Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Trying to hit. But it's just tenderness is missing in this world.
Got it. Oh.
And what's better than your children loving you?
So true. I
mean, really loving you and taught how to love. It's not totally natural.
Yeah.
But nobody wants it anymore. And it's sad. Makes the angels sad.
Makes me sad that we have to go. Always love talking to you, and hopefully working on seeing you.
She's not perfect, because we're all imperfect. The one that matches really well. So you both grow.
Got it. You froze for a second there. Sorry. Okay. All right, we are out of time. Dr. Cal, I'll see you soon. Hopefully next month.
Yep, and Ashley, I think Ashley said she talked to you. She called me to remind me of the show.
Yeah, awesome. Let's get it done then. July, if you're available. I forgot.
Hey, my dear, you get well and think of when we can meet. And
yeah, that
deal with all those other issues.
The day in July, the second week in July, I think it is. Let me know. All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you soon.
Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.